whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people. Whose car are we gonna take?
Hello, thank you for joining us. This is the Nikki Medoro Show, live on YouTube or whenever you would like to watch it. Thank you for everybody and Kim McAllister for filling in on a Friday. Today we have a great show coming up. And I know that some of this may have broken on Friday and over the weekend. We are going to start off with talking about that Florida school curriculum that apparently deals with slavery. There were some apparently Black members on this committee that wrote up this curriculum that dealt with African American studies. And there's a bit of debate over, I guess, the word beneficial and whether or not slaves benefited or, acquired beneficial skills while they were enslaved. And so, it all started with Vice President Kamala Harris's comments about it. Actually, this morning on The View, Anna Navarro, her mic was cut. And I know why it was cut. I think they had a sneaking suspicion that she was about to say what she said. So I have that sound for you as well. And a Black member of that Florida history curriculum working group is saying that Harris got it all wrong. That if you actually read what the curriculum says, that it's not the way that she's portraying it. But obviously people that are going up against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for the Republican nomination for president, they're latching onto this and criticizing DeSantis over it. On the flip side, Bidenomics appears to be working. Morgan Stanley is crediting Bidenomics for much stronger than expected growth, which is just perfect for President Biden. And speaking of the economy and where people are spending their money, how many of you hit the movies this weekend? I saw something. I'll let you know what I saw this weekend. It was not Barbie and it was not Oppenheimer. But how many of you went to see it? It obviously broke records. Big congratulations, of course, to Sacramento native Greta Gerwig, the director of it, for breaking the record for a female director in an opening weekend with the movie. Brought in a ton of money. Speaking about things that bring in a ton of money, we're getting desperate over here in my household. So hopefully now we have to win these Taylor Swift tickets. Follow me on the journey this week as my daughter is listening to the radio station the old school way, trying to win some tickets. But the amount of money that this is going to be bringing in is insane. And then the rules. I think this came out like Friday. Levi Stadium's finally changing the rules regarding what some Swifties can bring into the stadium. I didn't understand it at all. And can you believe that flying to another part of the world to see Taylor Swift in concert, flight, hotel, tickets, everything, much cheaper than seeing it in the United States? I just don't get it. And then also kind of in this vein, we'll talk about today being Christmas Eve. If you celebrate Christmas in July, it's a big thing, apparently. I'll play a bit of a news report on it. How many of you, my mom used to do this all the time. She would buy Christmas presents like in the summertime and just kind of store them away. And then it was always funny because she'd find presents. She's like, oh, that's right. I bought that for you. So it's just another way of spurring the economy at a time when a lot of people aren't thinking Christmas. And there's some psychology involved in celebrating Christmas in July as people suffer under this heat wave that is blanketing many parts of California. In the second part of the show, I want to talk about rebrands. Here in the Bay Area, we saw a rebrand not exactly work out the way they thought it would with Live 105. Remember, a couple of years ago, they changed it to Dave FM, and then they're like, not really working. Now back to Live 105. A lot of people excited about it, stoked to see it, stoked to hear that type of music again. But we have to get into what's happening with X, which formerly known as Twitter. They've already changed the logo, although it still says tweet. Let me look at it. Let me make sure that I'm giving. Yeah. So if you go there, there's an X at the top left corner. But if you want to write something, it still says tweet. I mean, X is not an action word. X me? Like that doesn't, I don't, we'll get into it though. And, does it make sense for Elon Musk to do something like this, given why companies do rebrands? He's getting praised by some people, and other people, either they don't care or they think it's just really, really dumb. But also, I want your guys' take on whether or not you think this rebrand is going to bring, either renewed interest and maybe even some confidence into the social media platform that for a long time was a source of really quick information. And, since Elon Musk took it over, kind of the rules, the verified user accounts, what have you, have raised a big question mark on whether or not Elon Musk knows what the hell he's doing. So will this rebrand help? And, a lot of people went to Twitter for news. So we have, Twitter. You don't know if the person that you're interacting with is truly that person. It could have just been someone that bought the blue check mark or the verification. And now, in the recent weeks, we've been getting stories about AI taking over newsrooms. And there was an interesting article regarding why it's really going to impact smaller newsrooms first. And then we'll end the show by talking about tragedy for my son. He lost something extremely valuable. And so he's going to have to fork over his own money to kind of replace it. And, we talked about OnlyFans a few weeks ago and unique ways of making money. There is this other thing that I just found out about that TikTokers are doing. And this one person's making $7,000 a day. And I'm going to play you the video of what this person is doing. And I just don't. One part of me is like, genius. Like, if this is what you could do to make $7,000 a day, more power to you, babe. But on the other hand, I'm like, how long could you actually do something like this before it would drive you absolutely insane? So we'll get into all of that plus so much more. I'm going to put also, the link to the show in the comments right now. If any of you want to weigh in and join the conversation live, it's just like Zoom. Just have your camera open, or you can put up a picture or whatever. And we'd love to see and hear you on the show. Click the thumbs up button also to show your support of the show. It helps us grow our audience here. We are like a breath away from breaking the 4,000 mark. And I would just love to continue to grow the show. I love the community that is here live every single day. A reminder, programming note, a week from tomorrow, we will no longer be noon until 2. We're going to move to 9 to 11. So we'll start around 9. We'll go around 11 o'clock right before Mark Thompson takes over from 11 to 1. And then Kim McAllister is doing the after party. And let me see if I can, did she keep it in here? Yes. Oh, here we go. So there it is. Right. There's the email address right on your screen. The afterparty.live is where you go to subscribe. So she's going to be doing kind of a wrap-up hour with John Daly, and they're going to be talking about all the stuff that we've been talking about on the past shows. It's going to be a fun time. She'll have her own take on things, and it's always fun to see Kim McAllister do those sorts of things. Also, please support the show in another way by utilizing the super chat feature. It's that $sign right under the live chat box. And you could throw us a super thanks, super sticker, super comment that we do read live on the show. And then, of course, the number one way to support the show, to support myself, to support Kim, is to become a monthly Patreon subscriber. You decide the amount. You can even increase the amount if you can afford it. We don't want to break you, but we really do depend on this money. And so just go to the NikkiMedoroShow.com. That's the NikkiMedoroShow.com. The Patreon link is there. The PayPal link is there. The email's right on your screen as well. The NikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. And of course, there's a link to our merch shop, which is the NikkiMedoroShop.com. And it just really, really helps us out and keeps the lights on, literally. Okay, so let's get into slavery, shall we? Vice President Kamala Harris made what some are praising and some are criticizing statements regarding this kind of school curriculum taking place in Florida. I'm going to play you a little bit of sound now. This was the speech that Vice President Kamala Harris gave last week. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but just the part in which she called out this curriculum.
Let us not let these politicians who are trying to divide our country win. Because you see, what they are doing is they are creating these unnecessary debates. This is unnecessary to debate whether enslaved people benefited from slavery. Are you kidding me? Are we supposed to debate that?
Are we supposed to debate that? Is it okay to debate that? Let's welcome Kim McAllister to the show. Now, Kim.
Hi.
Hi. It can be surprising to some people that there are lines, let's say, in a curriculum, talking about slaves, and the way that I understand it, and we'll hear more from actually one person that was on that committee that developed the curriculum, is it's not as if to say, oh, these enslaved people, the benefits of slavery, the skills, and I want to put skills in quotes, benefit them after they were enslaved. I mean, many people didn't make it to the after they were enslaved part, of course.
Right.
But is there anything wrong with kind of being like, okay, I mean, they did learn a skill. It seems insulting to me, but I'm asking this very tongue in cheek because obviously I find it very, at the very least, unnecessary. Just like the vice president was saying, we don't need to debate this. This is a ridiculous way of looking at slavery. But on the other hand, when you have a place like Florida being like, we don't want to just make, and I'm going to say it, white people feel bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
You learn about slavery, and then all these little white kids feel bad. Well, why do white kids feel bad? They're not the slave owner. They're just learning about the history.
That's true. But speaking as a white person, I have to say, I felt bad about slavery. My first thought when I learned about it was, we did what?
Well, it's not a we, though. Like,
it's
you
shocking.
can't include yourself in we. I mean,
these are my people. These are we came over on the Mayflower kind of people. Right?
No, I'm not going to debate you on your feelings, right? If you feel that way, I would never feel that way. I would never feel that way.
I know it's not my fault. I know I didn't do it.
Right.
But I still feel bad that I'm part of a group of people, even if it's my ancestry, that held people, enslaved people. I feel bad about that. And when I look back at my genealogy and heritage, because I do a little dabble in that research.
Mm-hmm.
You always, and I think I'll speak for myself. I hope that I wouldn't find slave owners and slave holders. And what I found was so much worse.
Oh, okay.
So much worse than that. And so I feel sad about that. You always want your ancestors to be the good guy, right? The person who stood up against the bad stuff.
Right.
But that wasn't the time, and those weren't the people. So do I feel bad about it? I sure wish it wouldn't have happened. And while I know I'm not responsible, I feel bad about it.
I mean, when you put it like that, I totally get it. I mean, if there's a line that can be drawn from me to something horrific, yes. But I meant the we as a whole, like you as a not blank, like you're a person with thoughts and feelings and a soul, right? Yeah. But like just the whole white people umbrella. Right. Do I think every white person should feel bad about slavery? You should feel bad that a large group of people were treated terribly, no matter the color of your current skin tone, right? I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I feel bad about slavery because something horrific happened to people who had no choice. And we shouldn't minimize that or try to soften the harsh edges of slavery by saying, well, they really learned to pick cotton quickly. And, cotton gin came out of it and all sorts of things. And whoa. I think that if you ask these people before they hopped on the damn boat, if they'd rather stay there and, make their lives what it was before you stripped them from their history and took them to a place they knew nothing about and then forced them, sold them like, again, and I'm going to play you a clip from Ana Navarro in just a moment, like a commodity. It's dehumanizing, and there is no way to go. There's no way to soften the history.
So you're going to think some of you may think I'm being too woke. Like, oh, here she goes again.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like one of the ways I try to think about it is to put myself in their shoes. Can I ever truly? No, I never can truly. But I've heard it outrageously said that, if enslaved people hadn't been brought to America, they'd still be, in an uncivilized society in Africa, running around in poverty and famine and whatever. But then I think to myself, would I rather be in a country that's facing issues like shortage of food, shortage of water, maybe, tribal conflicts, but have my family together? Or would I rather be standing on an auction block with my daughter and son being ripped from me, sold to other people, abused in all kinds of ways? I can tell you 100%, just as a human being, I would rather have stayed with my family and my kids.
Well, yeah,
So
you
to say that
any decision of where your history or your future should be, it was chosen for you.
To say that anybody had it better when they came to America and and their families were separated and they were scared and frightened and beaten and abused, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah. Well, Anna Navarro agrees with you. I'm going to play you a little clip I pulled from The View. You're going to hear, she's going to start to speak, and then you're going to hear this gap of sound. There's no sound. She basically said the word BS, but said it twice. So just fill in the blank there, and then she'll come back. And she was pissed off. So here she is, Anna Navarro on The View.
I live in Florida. I have been spitting mad about the culture wars that Ron DeSantis has been creating. So when he says that he has nothing to do with it, of lackeys and minions to put that legislation into effect. He has created the environment that has led to this. What they say is that the updated standards now say that enslaved people develop skills that could be applied for their personal benefit. Slavery was the darkest moment of American history, our biggest shame. People got torn from their homelands. Men, women, newborns, put in the bowels of ships, shackled, made to row from Africa to America, then brought here and sold off like chattel, separated from their children, beat, whipped, worked to death, raped. How dare you? Shame on you people in Florida. How dare you try to whitewash slavery? And to the Commissioner of Education in Florida, Manny Diaz, a Cuban American, that is like saying that there's a redeeming quality to Cuban political prisoners under Castro. Yeah. When you don't have freedom, you don't have anything. And for this man, Ron DeSantis, who's apparently his only skill that he has acquired is lying and creating culture wars that he thinks are going to make him president, they're not, buddy. That's why you're 30 points down.
She was pissed. She was really pissed. She basically
she's
called
exactly right.
Exactly. And she's very much right. It's any sort of, and I'm putting it in quotes again, benefit to the enslaved is nonsense. Now, here is sound. This is Dr. William B. Allen. Okay. Dr. William B. Allen is a former chairman of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. He's also a member of Florida's African American History Standards Work Group. Okay. So talking about this new curriculum. Here is what he had to say about Vice President Kamala Harris calling him out, this curriculum out. He says that she didn't read it and she's mischaracterizing it. This is what he had to say.
So there's been a little bit of backlash to
he's being interviewed by ABC.
These standards that were put out, and like you said, that these were done in open sessions so the public could listen or watch along. What would you say to critics who say these standards have set education back?
Well, I can't answer critics whom I haven't seen or heard. The only criticism I've encountered so far is a single one that was articulated by the vice president, and which was an error. As I stated in my response to the vice president, it was categorically false. It was never said that slavery was beneficial to Africans. What was said, and anyone who reads this will see this with clarity, it is the case that Africans proved resourceful, resilient, and adaptive, and were able to develop skills and aptitudes which served to their benefit, both while enslaved and after enslavement.
I kind of feel like that's saying the same thing. I do. I feel like he maybe read it and quoted it in a different way. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the Vice President Kamala Harris got it, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting that they need to make a point of saying this. Why do you even need to discuss it in this way? What purpose does it serve? And the only thing I can think of is it's a little bit of, sugar to take the medicine of learning about the history of slavery, right? Well, don't feel all bad, white children. Don't feel all bad. They learned some skills. They were able to use it. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of is they're trying in some way to soften the reality of how this country was founded.
There is no softening.
And there shouldn't be. Just take it. This was our history. Learn from it so it doesn't happen again. You don't pull things out or frame it in a ridiculous way in hopes of convincing some young, I'm assuming white students, that it wasn't all that bad.
They need to take a page from the Whoopi Goldberg apology system. It was
My
wrong.
bad. I'm sorry.
It was wrong. I'm trying to be a better person. Right?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
My
I'm
bad.
sorry. Like, seriously, admit your faults.
Yes.
Admit what you've done wrong. Apologize to the group of people you have wronged and do your very best to move forward. That doesn't mean trying to downgrade what happened. That's not what we need here.
Yeah.
We need a full acknowledgement of, when you apologize to someone, you say, listen, here's all the ways I screwed up and I am horribly sorry for it.
Yeah.
Here's what I've done wrong to you. And I wish I hadn't done that. In the future, I'll try to do these things that are better than that thing that I just did. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with owning it?
Yeah.
And
own
saying,
it.
this is a horrible thing that happened here. But going back and saying, what I did wasn't so bad. Like, if you really look at it,
skill, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's okay.
Murphy
you're here
makes a
now
great
in America.
point.
It's okay. Yeah.
She says making someone, quote, a better blacksmith or better maid directly prevents them from determining their own future. Exactly. And I will even say this whole idea that these slaves were saved from Africa or wherever they were taken from for a better life in America. That's according to you, because you could walk into somebody's own culture and society, the way they've set up their life, and think like, how could anybody live like that? They could be perfectly happy. They don't know any different. That's the way they choose. That's the way they developed. That's the system that they have in place. Who are you to come to a foreign land and look at these people and say, oh, I'm making this up, right? But just this idea of thinking, oh, we must save, quote unquote, these people and take them from their homeland, strip them of their history. I mean, ask African-American people, especially of older generations, how hard it is to track your history. And it's because it was stripped from them. So yeah, it's a bunch of BS. But I just want to kind of end on this note as well. Kamala Harris was also correct in the fact that these are unnecessary debates. It's you can put it under the same thing as like drag shows and things like that. The Republican Party has a major problem. And the major problem is they don't have a good platform to stand on. They really don't. Their former president is a criminal civilly, and he's facing all kinds of other problems tied to January 6th, led January 6th in many's opinion. And they don't have anything else to grasp onto. Bidenomics, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Morgan Stanley credits Bidenomics for a much stronger than expected GDP growth. Thanks, Joe Biden. And what I love about Joe Biden, he's taken a page from Obama, because remember when the Affordable Care Act was passed, the GOP was like, Obamacare. And Obama's like, yes, you can totally call it Obamacare.
Put my name on that. I'm proud of it.
And it took all of it out. And Biden's doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you want to call it Bidenomics? Oh, thank you. Yes, please put my name in history along these lines. It's as if the GOP just can't get out of their own way. It's working. Imagine investing in people, in infrastructure, and all those things that Marjorie Taylor Greene helped Joe Biden in creating that ad. Imagine people like it and it works. Now, is everything Joe Biden doing or going to do work? No, but I think it is what people want. And so, we want to bring American jobs back. We want to develop, more brick and mortar infrastructure things here in the United States. We want those things. We want healthcare. We don't want people to go bankrupt because they get sick. I was just reading the story about this couple. I think I read it on Yahoo or one of these sites. A couple had been married for decades and they got divorced, not because they didn't want to get married, but because the husband had so many medical bills and was so sick that he didn't want to saddle his wife when he passes with that medical debt. So they got divorced. They're still married under their eyes and what have you, but they legally got divorced to protect the wife when the husband passes. That is sick in a country as rich as ours, that people have to do that. So yes, you want to be like, oh my God, Biden and Obama want to give people health care? Yes, because what's happening now isn't working. Stop acting like certain systems in this country are so great just because they've been around for so long. They're not. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. All right. We'll talk a little bit more about Bidenomics after Kim's news. Also, speaking about the economy, how many of you spent money at the movie theater this weekend? Barbie broke records. Also broke through a ceiling for female directors, which was awesome for an opening weekend. So that's awesome. I did not watch. Did you?
I didn't. My daughter went twice.
Oh, so she liked it.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
No, she didn't think it was bad. She thought it was stupid. Different, but she saw it with one friend and then somebody asked her to go the next day. So that's why she went again.
My daughter's going tomorrow with a bunch of friends to go see it. And I'm like, you didn't want to go with me. Nope. She did not want to go with me. I do want to see it. I just felt like the theaters were going to be insane. I was like, but I did see something else last night that was awesome. And so we'll talk about that as well. And can you only imagine how many Barbies and Barbie accessories and toys are going to be available for Christmas? Well, did you know, Kim, that it's Christmas Eve today if you celebrate Christmas in July? Because that's a thing. It's a huge thing for the economy.
Is it really?
Oh God, yeah. Christmas in July is huge. I'll play a little bit of a news report looking at it, and it makes sense. It really does.
You mean people are right now today wrapping presents and giving gifts?
People right now today are buying specific things for Christmas. I'm not going to give it all away, but yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Right.
And my mother used to actually buy presents in the summertime. I don't know if it was always in July, but yeah, she would buy stuff in the middle of the year. One, it was cheaper. Two, like the fall stuff and all that stuff starts coming out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I want people to tell me in the comments if you do that. And then Kim, from Barbie to T Swift, we have to talk about the rules and the regulations for anyone lucky enough to be able to go. I think it's a bit of BS. I'm not going to say it's fully sexist because obviously women go to all sorts of events at Levi Stadium, but it does seem like BS to me, some of these rules that are in place, as my daughter is desperately doing it old school and listening to radio stations in hopes.
She's trying to win tickets.
Of winning tickets, yeah. So all week, that's what we're going to be doing, is trying to win those tickets. All right, click the thumbs up button. We'll talk about all of that and so much more after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Oh, all right, let's get right to it. There is a majority of voters who believe that federal prosecutors have a pretty strong case against former President Trump. And just because you needed to see a picture of him, there it is. Or did you not need to see a picture of him? I don't know. I thought maybe you might want to. So, yes, it turns out that a new Harvard University Capps-Harris poll found 57% of registered voters think prosecutors have either a very strong or a somewhat strong case against Trump. The breakdown among party lines included 87% of Democrats, 47% of independents, and 31% of Republicans. Meanwhile, 42% of voters think Trump is guilty of potential charges that could be brought against him in that investigation. Last week, Trump revealed he received a letter from the Department of Justice informing him he is a target of that probe. And I'll take his picture down because I don't want to make you look at him for too long. No. I'm not going to do that to you guys. Democratic Assembly Public Safety Committee chair, his name is Reggie Jones Sawyer, is asking for billions of dollars now to help fight overdose deaths in America. He wants $5.2 billion in bonds to go toward what he calls a comprehensive approach instead of a by-the-bill approach to the fentanyl crisis. Jones Sawyer said he's concerned about the mass incarceration of Black and brown Californians. He previously opposed Republican-led efforts to create stronger penalties for fentanyl dealers. The data shows about 7,100 Californians died from opioid overdoses in 2021. 83% of those were fentanyl related. The United Nations still working hard with North Korea. They're in talks to get this American soldier returned. Travis King fled across the heavily militarized border right into the secretive state last week. The UN's confirmation that a dialogue and discussions are ongoing comes as North Korea has remained very publicly silent about King. A key portion of a controversial judicial overhaul being approved by Israel's parliament. The plan removes the court system's ability to strike down unreasonable government decisions. Critics say it undermines democracy in Israel, while the vote on the proposal has sparked nationwide protests in Israel. President Biden, and we're talking about racism in America earlier, President Biden is expected to designate a new national monument honoring Emmett Till and his mother. That happens tomorrow. The 14-year-old African-American from Chicago was kidnapped, beaten, and brutally murdered in Mississippi in 1955 by white supremacists. President Biden will sign a proclamation tomorrow on what would have been Emmett's 82nd birthday to establish the Emmett Till and Marnie Till Mobley National Monument at the two sites in Mississippi and one in Chicago. Anywhere Emmett Till lived or had contact with in a significant way will be part of that monument. Sam Altman's retina scanning crypto startup officially launched. The OpenAI CEO says WorldCoin is a reliable way to distinguish humans from artificial intelligence, enable global democratic processes, and drastically increase economic opportunity. Individuals who download the World app and scan their eyeballs will receive 25 WorldCoin tokens. Is that enough to give up your retinal scan information for some WorldCoin tokens? I don't know what you do with those, but no thanks, Sam. Apple is targeting already over year iPhone deliveries. The tech giant has asked suppliers to produce 85 million iPhone 15s this year, more or less the same number of iPhone units that Apple delivered last year. They're trying to make sure they have enough. Chevron is reporting second quarter earnings of $6 billion, but it's still a drop from the nearly $6.6 billion reported for the first quarter. The San Ramon-based oil giant announced an acquisition of Denver-based PDC Energy that is expected to close next month. You know, I don't feel bad that their profits dropped a little bit, Nikki. I don't know about you. And also in business news, earlier this month, San Francisco's historic Anchor Steam Brewing Company announced that they were shutting down operations after 127 years in the city by the bay, citing the economy as the primary reason. Well, now several employees think they can pony up enough money, raise enough to run the brewery as a worker co-op. It's called the Warehouse Union Local 6 workers, notified the parent company Sapporo of their desire to purchase the brewery. The company officials said in a statement they would gladly consider any bona fide offer that includes a verifiable source of funds.
Done.
It's pretty long at Saturday at Anchor Steam as locals packed in for what they thought may be their very last chance to get a cold Anchor Steam on tap. But it might not be. It might be that we get the worker co-op Anchor Steam instead. And I think that'd be pretty cool.
I hope they can do it. I mean, I think this is the opportunity to really, put your money where your mouth is, literally, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully they get the funding if people really want to still see it. And when we talked about this last week, simplifying your business, it could be so streamlining it, put the steam brewing process front and center so people can learn about it, learn why it's unique, do the, core couple of beers. And then if it takes off, then grow. But I would say just simplify the heck out of it and hopefully it'll stay.
They have name recognition. They have history.
Exactly.
So last story, TikTok. TikTok users can now make posts using text on the popular app.
What?
The social media platform is rolling out this feature that will allow creators to share things like lyrics, stories, and recipes. The new addition to TikTok comes after Meta launched its Threads app earlier this month to compete with Twitter. So the rollout also happening as Twitter rebrands itself to X, as owner Elon Musk attempts to create an all-in-one app. Last year, TikTok added support for images after it started out as a short-form video app. So now I guess you can just do a TikTok with words only.
Okay. I really feel like it's kind of moving away from why people watch TikTok. You watch
the videos.
And I'll have a couple towards the end of the show. I don't know if you heard my tease, Kim, but there is we were debating OnlyFans. Now there's a new thing we could do. Possibly. And
what do you got me involved in now? I am not putting my feet in pudding. I am not doing it. It has nothing to do with your feet.
It has nothing to do with your feet. It is so weird, though. We'll do it towards the end of the show. I'll show you a couple of videos.
All right.
And again, TikTok videos. Like that's why this is what I don't understand about social media companies. Stay with what people like. Stop trying to be everything to everybody, right?
Yeah.
But maybe people will like the words only. I don't know. I feel like TikTok is just... It's all about
everyone sees Twitter falling and failing, and they're trying to sweep in and pick up that, that what people want or what people were using it for. Well, I can just swoop in and make it all happen. I don't know.
Stick with what you know. Stick with it. And we'll talk about the rebranding of Twitter.
The Nikki Medoro Show is crowdfunded, which means we rely on you for support. You can check us out at thenikkimedoroshow.com. You've got the Patreon link and the PayPal link. And of course, the Super Chat is live. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is the Nikki Medoro Show.
It is. And I want to say thank you to Elise with the $20 super sticker starting us off. So you guys, thank you, Elise, so much. That is very, very generous of you. I understand, not everybody can donate during every single show. Some of you do, and we appreciate you so much. So the super chat is the $. Please sign up to be a monthly Patreon subscriber. It's only one time a month. Whatever you can afford. It's a monthly tip is what I like to call it. And then you officially become a Medorable. And we really do appreciate it. And we're going to continue to remind you guys, please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the After Party. Just go to theafterparty.live. And that's Kim's show. She's going to be doing an hour after Mark Thompson. So this show is moving August 1st, 9 to 11. Then Mark Thompson from 11 to 1. And then you can party it up with Kim for an hour after Mark Thompson from 1 until 2. And so go ahead.
I was going to say, you have to, and we did it pretty fast, but I don't know. I need some help because you have to get to 1,000 viewers or subscribers by the time you launch. And if I want to launch this on August 1st, I think I'm right now at, let's see, the number is currently 473. So that means I have more than 500 spots to fill, or we can't go live on August 1st. It's a 2-click process. Theafterparty.live.
That's what it looks like when you're on it right there.
.live. And then you just click subscribe. That's it. Two clicks. Theafterparty.live and subscribe. And I would so appreciate it if you could help me get to 1,000.
Yeah. And she's like halfway there. Just basically halfway there. So let's tell her friends, tell your family, tell everybody, like what we did with this show. Grab their phone, subscribe them. They won't even know. I'm just kidding. But it's going to be a fun time. And then you get a big old chunk of former KGOers talking about all the stuff, all the politics, all the news, pop culture, what have you. So again, theafterparty.live. And it all starts again a week from tomorrow, August 1st. Is when everything moves. So make sure that you mark your calendar and set your alarm, because we're starting much earlier than we ever have before. So I'm very proud of you, Kim. It is a lot of work, but once it gets off the ground, it's going to be so much fun. And she's going to be on there along with fabulous producer John Daly is going to be on there, and it's going to be a great time. And so make sure you're subscribed. Okay, let's talk about Bidenomics, shall we? So look, I know that it's hard for the GOP to give any sort of wins to current President Biden, because they're all still in love with former President Trump. But it's really hard when you see a headline like this. Morgan Stanley credits Bidenomics for much stronger than expected GDP growth. The fact that the GOP try to make Bidenomics a swear word and Morgan Stanley is using that word to praise what Biden has done is awesome. So I want to
even he does. Look at the picture of him.
Oh yeah, he loves it.
Bidenomics. Yeah, he's like, okay, you Bidenomics, we'll call it that.
Yes. You want to give me all the credit for all the things that are going well in the economy? Thank you. Sure. It was the same, like I mentioned before, with Obamacare. Obama's like, yes, I want to give everyone health care. You want to slap my name on it? I was trying to not be so egotistical about it and call it the Affordable Care Act. You guys want to put my name on it? Fine. Put my name on it. And you know what we found back then, Kim, which was hilarious, is dumbasses didn't know the difference between the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare. You'd ask people like, I like the Affordable Care Act. I don't like Obamacare. And they'd be like, it's the same thing. And they're like, what? No. Yeah, it is. So again, Bidenomics, according to Morgan Stanley, has drove an unexpected economic surge. I do have a little bit of a news report from MSNBC, which just, really clarifies how well Bidenomics is doing.
Morgan Stanley, let's start with this news this hour, is revising its estimates for the future of the American economy. On Friday, the financial services firm credited Bidenomics for much stronger than expected GDP growth. The bank now projects 1.9% GDP growth for the first half of this year. That's nearly 4 times higher than the bank's previous forecast, which had been 0.5%. And looking into next year, they raised their forecast for real GDP in 2024 by 0.1% to 1.4%. The revision comes as President Biden has been on the road trying to sell the American public on his Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. The legislation directs billions of dollars towards new construction on roads, bridges, airports, and seaports. It also includes plans to increase the availability of broadband internet, to replace lead pipes, and build electric vehicle charging stations.
Who's against that? Anybody? Anybody? That's what you want your money to go towards. Now, Al Anonymous, with the very accurate historical piece of information, the healthcare website that didn't work when it first launched. Yeah, Obamacare, Affordable Care Act. Even here in California, the website was a total bungle. It was awful, and hands down. But my point in bringing up Obamacare and Bidenomics is, although it isn't perfect, it is what people want. People want healthcare. People need healthcare. People die if they don't have healthcare. People get bankrupt, bankrupt when they don't have healthcare. So they would like it if that did not happen. And so the government, in its wisdom, tries to respond to the needs of the people within the country. And that was with the Affordable Care Act. And now it's with Bidenomics. People say, I want our infrastructure to not be crumbling around us. Okay, let's invest in that. I mean, these are the things we want. Don't bitch and moan when it's not your political party that's responsible for it. Eric says, the sad thing, it doesn't matter how good Biden's economy is doing because the Republicans won't believe it. Ding, ding, ding. Absolutely, Eric. But, it is what it is. There's nothing we could do about it. They are literally the party of complainers, and they don't solve anything. What is their plan for healthcare if they got rid of Obamacare? After how many years? I always say this. So many years of bitching and complaining, repeal and replace, and they never bothered to come up with a plan of replacement. They couldn't be bothered. They just wanted to take because it was a win for the Democrats. That's the annoying thing. That's what's awful.
They're always going to try to spin it the way they want to spin it.
Of course. And then that's normal. I mean, that is normal. And Lori, I agree. They need to stop raising interest rates, although they didn't do the last rate hike, right? I mean, I think they didn't. Now, not saying they're not going to do another one, right?
Right.
And again, it's not Biden that's raising the interest rates. Okay. He doesn't have any control over that. But I completely agree with you. It's hard. It's like these mixed messaging that we're getting. The economy is doing so great, and yet interest rates are still so high. And it's this really hard economic situation for a lot of people at a time when we are actually doing well as a country economically. And honestly, I'd say this is a global problem. This is not unique to the United States. A lot of countries are facing the same problems. Okay, now speaking of money, a lot of money was brought in over the weekend at the movie theater. Barbie broke the opening weekend record for 2023, shattered the first weekend record for a film directed by a woman. With $162 million in ticket sales from North American theaters, Barbie pushed past both Captain Marvel, which was directed by a woman, and Wonder Woman, which was directed by a woman. Let's see. Boasting a reported price tag of $145 million, Barbie also cost less to produce than both of those films. Mm-hmm. Globally, it also surpassed Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel. Let's see. Barbie's debut, $7 million higher than estimated on Sunday, is also significant because its audience was 65% of women. Now, that's obviously not a surprise because it's Barbie. But as far as box office history is concerned, movies that open over $100 million often have a majority male audience.
Interesting.
So just kind of breaking through all those feelings. The gender thing I really don't care about. I do think it's an accomplishment for Greta Gerwig, who's a Sacramento native. So that's awesome, right? Nearby, she was behind Lady Bird and Little Women, right? So she's done an amazing job with this movie. I will also say the lead up to Barbie, kind of similar to Taylor Swift. I mean, they won't relent. It is constant. You have to see this movie. I mean, from Margot Robbie, the marketing was insane. Margot Robbie wearing different Barbie outfits to, premieres and things like that. It was genius. It made you like, if you don't watch this movie, there's something wrong with you. Now, I didn't watch the movie. You didn't watch the movie, Kim. Do you think you're going to go to the theater to watch it? If you do watch it?
I'm not going to. No.
You're not going to.
Tim Sika gave it a kind of a
mixed
review that would kind of make me think that it's streamable, right? I'll wait for that. And what I heard my daughter say about it was it's not bad. It's just different than I expected and weird.
Okay.
So I'll wait to see it. But yeah, whoever is marketing behind the whole marketing thing with this movie,
genius,
crazy.
Now I will say this: the only reason I want to see it, I don't know if I'm going to stream it or go to the theaters, since my daughter is going with her friends. I mean, unless there's some girlfriends that want to go and watch the movie, who am I going to go see it with? James, my husband, is not going to go see Barbie with me. But apparently the ending, apparently people got emotional. And you know how I feel about movies that make me emotional. So I'm like, oh, now I want to go see this. Am I going to cry? One of my favorite things to do in the movies? Well, that's a selling point for me. So I don't know, but dragging my ass to the theater. Yeah, a lot of people, men, women, everyone was going.
Dressed up everywhere I looked, people were dressed up. I was talking a little bit earlier about the conservative backlash. The conservative folks have been telling people, don't go see Barbie. That's woke. That's woke, feminist. That's the left propaganda. You don't want to go see Barbie.
But did you see the other headline that movie attendance for Barbie was higher in red states than blue states? So
they're like, they weren't listening. They're like, oh, okay, thank you.
It's Barbie.
We'll go
watching
directly to the box office and we're going to watch it anyway.
It's like, come on. Not everything's woke. Stop. It's so stupid. Again, the political party of complaining about everything, I swear.
There were lawmakers like Senator Ted Cruz who were upset over the flap over the cartoon map. Yeah. And the China thing and the China Sea and who owns the China Sea. So they were calling the movie the left Chinese propaganda. Like, seriously, it's a Barbie movie.
Whose job is it to find all the things that the GOP is outraged about? It's absolutely not important to anybody but them.
Who cares?
I mean, I get it if like, because the only reason I'm saying is like last week we were talking about Jason Aldean and that song. Try that in a small town. Now I understand, and I wouldn't say I was outraged. I just don't like being gaslit. Like, don't try to tell me that you're not saying what you're saying. We know what you're saying. That was what that's all I was pretty much saying. But again, there is no bad publicity when it comes to things like movies, songs, because what happens? People watch the movie, listen to the songs, and so who's really the winner and the loser here, right? I mean, come on.
Did you see? There's so much flap over that Jason Aldean song.
Right.
Try that in a small town. Did you see the meme? I'm trying to find it. It's don't try that in a ball gown.
I feel like I might have seen the picture. Didn't someone superimpose a dress on Jason Aldean or something like that? Yeah.
He's in a rainbow sequin gown, and it says, don't try that in a ball gown. So I thought that was kind of funny.
You know what else is the other meme that's going around is the fact that Jason Aldean, and I mentioned this last week, he's not from a small town, or people bring up Uvalde. They're like, they did try it in a small town. Look what happened in Uvalde. You know, kids got slaughtered, basically, which I'm not saying that's necessarily a fair thing to say about every small town, but it's just this idea again, and I don't want to get into it again, but don't tell me that I don't understand what I'm hearing and seeing. Like, we get it. We know this whole dog whistle gaslighting. No. I'm not going to fall for that crap. So no, thank you.
I have a picture for you.
Okay,
you
good.
Ready?
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny. Try that in a ball gown.
Exactly. I mean, and then Jason Aldean, he's just like, if you like his music, listen to his music. I'm not telling anybody not to listen to it. But I am. And the other thing that I find hilarious is a party that talks about free speech and saying what you want to say. They're the ones that want to ban books, right? They're the ones that don't want you to go to the movies. It's do as I say, not as I do type of crap. And it's just so stupid. Nick, you're probably right. Probably not many pink clothes left at the thrift stores. Probably not. And again, people are snapping. This Christmas, it's going to be all Barbie. I mean, if they were a genius marketing the movie, you can only imagine what's going to come out on toy shelves. And Barbie's having her moment. And I had Barbies as a kid. I don't think I was obsessed with Barbie. You know, she's just like all little girls. Their heads were off. They had no clothes on, you know. Just typical drawn on, you draw makeup on their face or something and all sorts of things. But, you know, I think it's great for Greta Gerwig and congratulations to her. We'll see.
What's interesting is I was reading a post about how people are upset about Barbie being a feminist. Right?
Why?
Barbie's not a feminist. Barbie was never a feminist.
She's a toy, but thank you.
And then exactly a toy. But what did we do with that toy when you were a little kid?
Yeah.
And you had a Barbie in your hand. She was a blank slate whose story you could invent. Right?
Exactly.
You gave her a backstory. You gave her a job. You gave her a career. Mm-hmm. She was traveling in your mind. She was doing all these things. So in that way, and I'll say girls, because I know other people played with Barbies, but at least for me, for girls who played with Barbies, Barbie could do anything you wanted her to, right? So in that way, Barbie was a feminist, probably the first doll that a lot of little girls did that with, made up the stories with, a grown-up woman going off and she was a doctor and a lawyer.
She had all kinds of jobs, exactly.
You gave her a name, like, you know, I think mine was it was something that sounded elegant. I think mine was Melanie Wade, one of my Barbies.
Ooh, and I like that name.
Melanie Wade was a lawyer and she liked to travel. Like, these are things the girls make up these stories in their imaginations, but they're, what could she do? Who could she be? Mm-hmm. So that's, I think the core of what we want girls to think about their future, and that is limitless.
Absolutely. And again, remember, she also never got married.
Yep.
She was never married to Ken, at least according to the stories. It was always her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Apparently they don't even kiss in the movie. That was another headline that I was reading.
Yeah.
She doesn't kiss Ryan Gosling, Margot Robbie playing Barbie. She does not do that. Again, toys, they're obviously something fun to play with. And, you know, there is, I think, an importance, especially we've learned of creating different types and different skin tones, different ethnicities, different clothes, right? So girls, and boys can see a bit of themselves and maybe their culture in the toys that they play with. I think Barbie's been great in that aspect over the decades that she's been around. And yeah, I think that any toy that shows girls specifically that you can be an astronaut, you could be a teacher, you could be a scientist is a great thing. And you could also be a mom, right? I mean, it's not as if I don't think there's ever been a pregnant Barbie, but you know what I'm saying. It's just you can do all sorts of things. There hasn't.
I mean, there's so many good things. I have never seen a pregnant Barbie, but I have seen. Remember, they had those. I don't know if they were just pictures, or if they were actual real dolls, like real life Barbie, where she had like a night of drinking and she was all haggard looking.
Oh yeah, I think those are just like I think those
pregnant
are all
Barbie with a couple of kids
indoors. I don't think
whiskey. Yeah, I don't think those are officially sanctioned.
No.
So there's a lot of good things about Barbie. The fact that she, that you were able to create that story and have that imagination with her.
Yeah.
Do we want all girls to think that your waist is that size and that you are going to have missile boobs? No. I mean, are there some things about Barbie that maybe body image kind of stuff that we would like to tweak? Now she's kind of a cultural icon. So Barbie is Barbie. That's just the way she is. But
now, who was it? Let's see. Lady Beatrice says Barbie did everything but go to college or a women's march. I Googled it. And apparently she did have a college style Barbie.
Okay.
I don't know what decade this is in. It's an odd a turtleneck with like a bustier top. Okay, whatever. But yeah, there was one. In a woman's march, no, that's up to the child playing with the doll to go to women's march, I would say. But they're just toys. They're dolls. You could put as much importance on it as you want to. Remember the Bratz dolls, which were kind of like the opposite of Barbie. They were like trashy, too much makeup, short skirts, things like that. We didn't have Bratz dolls in this house. Even though, I have my own thoughts about clothing. They just didn't look cute.
My Barbies always kissed, though. I would smash them together.
Oh, yeah. Duh. You fall in love, all sorts of things. I mean, come on now. Even though they're anatomically incorrect, it's fine. Definitely boobs, but nothing else. Okay. Should I do this? I'll do this after the headlines. Now, here in our household, Kim. Hold on. Marley, are you listening to the radio? Yeah, I think she's listening to the radio. Not this show, because God forbid. She's trying to win concert tickets. Have you ever won concert tickets through a radio station before? And I know how you feel. Like as a kid.
I've given a bunch of them away, but I've never actually won.
As a teenager, you never like called in, like tried to be the caller to win tickets when you were growing up?
I might have tried once or twice, but I never achieved success in that department.
I think that as a teenager, I might have won, but I think these were like county fair tickets, because back then it was, you're a kid, you didn't have a lot of money anyway, and they would give away these tickets. Well, Taylor Swift tickets, at last check, you can't get a ticket for less than $1,000, and that's before fees. Okay, so you're paying at the very least probably $3,000 for a pair of tickets, and those that are $3,000 are like behind the stage. So maybe if she walks out on the catwalk and turns around, you'll get a front shot of her. But yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. So my daughter is trying to win tickets through radio stations the old school way.
So
good luck to her. But Levi Stadium, I think, is really dropping the ball when it comes to supporting Taylor Swift fans. Now, they had a couple of rules. One, they reversed, which had to do with friendship bracelets, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. But when we come back after Kim's news, I want to talk about tailgating. Or tailorgating, as they're saying. Everything has to do with Taylor Swift this week, especially down here in Santa Clara County. It's just, my God. But yeah, they don't want to allow tailgating. Do you think
they call it tailorgating?
Tailorgating, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's fair when they allow it for sporting events? Now, the reason why I ask this is, now I know adults are going to this concert. I'm not saying it's all underage kids, all right? I'm not saying that, but a football game where people are drinking and doing all these things in the parking lot before they go in, and Taylor Swift girls are screaming and handing out friendship bracelets. It doesn't seem to me like we have a huge problem on our hands unless there's something I'm missing. So let me know in the comments. We'll talk about Levi Stadium. I feel like they could totally monetize the crap out of it. Like vendors could be out there. You can make it such a party. It's not as if they didn't have enough time to plan for this thing. And it's not like they don't have other concert venues to look at and see what they did. But Levi Stadium, who, by the way, Santa Clara County making Taylor Swift an honorary mayor next weekend, has all of these rules, and I just don't think it's fair. We'll talk about Christmas in July as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Are we talking about that, or will we talk about it later?
What, Christmas in July or
Taylor Swift?
I mean, we could talk about it now. I was going to let you do your headlines first. But...
I'll do the headlines. That's cool.
Okay, so we'll talk about Taylor Swift. We'll talk about Christmas in July, and then we do also have to get to X. I just keep having that song. Who's that? X gonna give it to me. DMX. Yeah, I just have that song every single time now that I hear the new name of Twitter. It's driving me absolutely crazy, but that's just me and I'm weird. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about X, and we'll also talk about my son having to fork up some big money after a mistake over the weekend. This is the Nikki Medoro Show.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
We are going to start in Texas, where the deadline has passed for the state of Texas to dismantle this floating border wall. You can see it here, this orange kind of buoy thing wrapped in razor wire. The Justice Department gave Texas until 2 p.m. Eastern to remove the system of buoys or face a lawsuit. They didn't do it. Those buoys are floating in the Rio Grande near the town of Eagle Pass, which the feds say poses serious risks to public safety and the environment. But the Texas governor says we have every right to protect our state on the border. We are going to see you in court. We will not be removing the floating buoys. The IRS is announcing the ending of unannounced visits to taxpayers. They actually did that. I've never had the IRS knock on my door. Thank the Lord. Knock on wood. The agency says it's looking to enhance safety measures and help ease confusion among taxpayers. Revenue officers typically visit homes and businesses to collect unpaid taxes. That according to the IRS. No more unannounced visits. The Biden administration officials are in Mexico this week for meetings on the opioid crisis. So, the president has Homeland Security advisor. The President Biden is not there, but his Homeland Security advisor and other senior officials will be meeting with Mexican and Canadian officials discussing joint efforts to fight the ongoing opioid epidemic. This comes after President Biden struck an agreement with Mexico and Canada earlier this year to crack down on the flow of illegal fentanyl. This is kind of a sad and strange situation going on near Martha's Vineyard. A missing paddleboarder has been found dead very close to the home of former President Obama on Martha's Vineyard. Massachusetts State Police say the body of this 43-year-old man was found this morning about 100 feet from Edgartown Great Pond shore. It is not clear if the 911 call about the incident came from Obama's residence or if any of the Obamas were even home at the time of this thing, but the paddleboarder had been missing since Sunday night when authorities responded to a call about somebody who went under after struggling to stay above the water. The identity of that person hasn't been released. It's a really wild car crash in San Francisco getting a lot of attention. That's because it was all caught on tape. And now the video is being shared all over social media. It shows a speeding car flying off of Sanchez Street, going over the Sanchez Street stairs on Saturday night, plummeting down a hill, taking out a tree, and landing upside down on the road below. Witnesses say 5 people crawled out and ran off before the police arrived. They're still looking for these 5. A man who showed up to the scene claims it was a hit car that had been stolen. No word if that's true. Officers still searching for those involved, and no official word as to whether that vehicle had been stolen. And there's also some wild video in Oakland of yet another sideshow. Police investigating 2 more sideshows. Both happened early Sunday morning in near Oakland International Airport. Have you seen the video of all this?
Yes, and I was so aggravated the whole time I was watching it.
The first one involved about 100 cars. Video shows a crowd watching at the intersection of Hagenberger and Coliseum Way. Police say some people threw fireworks at officers as they cleared everyone out. Minutes later, another sideshow with 50 cars kept an AC transit bus from continuing on its route. If you watch these cars spinning around, some people have the doors open and they're hanging out of the cars as they flip around and around and around. They come precariously close to people standing around in a circle. I mean, you really take your life in your hands if you're doing these kind of things. Not only can innocent bystanders get caught up in this, but it's just unsafe. I think police have to really do something here.
Well, yeah, and I wouldn't call them innocent bystanders anymore. If you're there, and they did just pass that rule, didn't they? That I don't know if it's officially in place yet or if there's a date when it will be. But if you're watching, they figure out that you're not just walking by and caught up in the action. You can be fined. They need to really start enforcing these things harder. And I don't think that it's 100% fair to say, look, they try to and nobody's listening to the rules. But, you know, and you don't want. So I was watching the cars spinning around. I'm like, they should just throw out spike strips and disable these cars. But then you don't want to injure people. It's not worth it to cause unnecessary injuries or possibly death. But at the same time, I want those cars impounded for a year.
Yes. All of them.
Yeah, all
or
of
more.
them. Yeah, I mean, it's like there needs to be some sort of consequence because these people aren't hearing officers saying this isn't allowed. You need to stop doing it. It's the same thing. And I know we didn't talk about it. We talked about it initially, but we didn't talk about the update. All of those parents and community members that were upset at the police response to the hill bomb, the skateboarding event, and they went to that meeting and they're like, oh my God, my kid was zip tied on the curb for like hours, which I get. And the police chief even said, we should have been quicker with getting these kids processed and what have you. But this is the problem, just to go off on a little tangent on this separate thing. Where the hell were you, parent, when your son or daughter went to an event you knew wasn't sanctioned and they're ignoring demands by police to leave? And now you're going to come to a meeting and cry and complain about it. And then 2 weeks later, get mad at cops for not enforcing other laws. It's all part and parcel of the same thing. If you don't enforce the small laws, skateboarding laws, traffic violations, things like that, it's going to be even harder to enforce the stricter laws. So stop it. Stop defending your child doing something they knew was illegal, ignoring the orders of law enforcement, which again, so many people are saying you should listen to law enforcement. And then you're going to go to a meeting and say, well, my son sat on a curb for too long. Consequences for freaking actions, people. Consequences for freaking actions. And I'm sorry if I seem really harsh about it, but I was so aggravated by this idea that when you see the body cam footage and you see how not all, but some of these kids were disrespectful, the graffiti, the fireworks, and you're going to defend that? And you wonder why we have a problem with people just walking into stores and stealing stuff and not following the laws.
Would you be upset if your kid, I mean, you'd be upset with your kid probably, but would you be upset with your kid if they were there and even if they weren't the people throwing the rocks, bottles, fireworks at officers, but they were there and they got zip tied and put on the sidewalk and processed? Would you be upset with police because of that?
Okay. I'm just going to say this one phrase, and it was a phrase my dad told me many, many times growing up. When you hang out with, and he used a cuss word, when you hang out with us, it doesn't matter if you're not. People will think you are. They will think you are. And it's not fair, but it's how the world works. It's the same as the car shows. I just wanted to watch. I wasn't driving the car. You hung out there. And now you're going to be lumped in with them. And it's not fair. And I would be upset. Absolutely. But I also would know where my child was, right? I would know. And then it's on me as well as a parent to be like, well, obviously, I either one, think it's okay for my child to be there and there's a consequence for that, or two, I don't know where my kid is and there's a consequence to that. So
let's watch a little bit of the
sideshow. Now look at this. I mean, and they think it's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt or killed.
Look at those people. I mean, They're coming really close to those
Really
people.
close.
I'm like, I don't think so.
I don't trust somebody to spin their car next to me. Like, look at that.
Look at those people hanging out of the window, and that's highly. I mean,
I would
do
be
sound like a
so
mom?
upset.
I don't
Yes,
know.
we are moms. Where are they?
And look at all the people standing around.
Yep. Like,
Wild.
no, if you're there,
Yeah.
that's a crime right there. That is against the law. So would I be upset that my child got in trouble with police for being at a place where people were breaking the law? Yeah. Yes.
I want to show you the red car. Look at these guys.
Oh my
They've got the door
gosh.
open. They've got people hanging out.
And he's not even really holding on. I mean, I don't even understand.
And they're coming really close to people. I mean, people could die.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Katie's right. At that age, everyone's immortal. Exactly. And you're not, though. You're not. And I don't want my child to be the lesson.
Crazy. And I almost felt bad for watching that video and for showing it to you, because I felt like now I'm one of those people standing around watching it.
No.
Yeah.
We're calling it out. It's total BS. And again, I was embarrassed for the parents that showed up at that freaking meeting last week and were like, now I understand wanting to see the body cam footage, but you also saw the news reports from journalists that were there. Like, stop trying to carve out a special excuse for your little Timmy or Susie. Oh, they weren't. No, but they were there. And they were told multiple times to leave by police.
Yeah.
And if you have not instilled in your children that when you are part or near something that is against the law, right? If you're doing something that is against the law, there's going to be a consequence. Yeah. That's just it. That is just it. So, sorry.
Move
I had to
on
go
to
off
the
a
next
tangent.
one.
Pissed me
No, that's
off.
good. I feel sad every time local journalism dies a little. And here we have another one of these stories. One of California's longest running newspapers is shutting down after declaring bankruptcy. It is the Santa Barbara News Press. Yeah.
Geez.
They are ceasing publication after more than 150 years. The newspaper posted its last online edition over the weekend, about a month after ending its print edition and going fully digital. Earlier this year, the Santa Barbara Press operations and staff left Santa Barbara's De La Guerra Plaza, where it had been headquartered for more than a century. It is dead.
That sucks.
And lastly, actors are planning for a major rally in the epicenter of New York City tomorrow.
Ooh.
Those on strike will take to Times Square for the rally dubbed Rock the City for a Fair Contract. Actors have been on strike since July 14th, joining writers who have been on the picket line since May. And I have to tell you that I just got a story messaged to me, so let me give you one more.
Okay.
Speaking of, because I just said rock the city for a fair contract, right?
Uh-huh.
There's some Trader Joe's cookies
Okay.
that are being recalled for possibly containing rocks.
That'll break your teeth.
Two types of cookies found to contain possible foreign material.
I mean, I'm
possibly
assuming
rocks.
like sand rocks or like chunky rocks.
Two types of cookies included in the recall are Trader Joe's almond windmill cookies and Trader Joe's dark chocolate chunk and almond cookies.
So it's not almonds, it's rocks.
They don't say like full-blown rocks or rock grit or whatever.
Right.
But it's enough that you don't want to eat it. It's foreign material, they call it. They were alerted by their supplier that the cookies may have rocks. Thanks to John.
Why
Daly
are
for that.
rocks in the kitchen? Like, I understand cross-contamination, but where the hell do the rocks come in?
Maybe it was an employee that was aggravated and disgruntled. I don't know.
I mean, right? I mean, because cross-contamination happens because you're cooking with things in a kitchen and
Right.
maybe almond stuff gets in it or whatever, or peanut butter, whatever. Rocks? What are you baking with rocks? That's weird. There might be somebody trying to sabotage Trader Joe's.
I'm telling you. This show, crowdfunded, that means we rely on you. So Patreon, PayPal links, all set up. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com. And our super chat is live, and we thank you. I'm
Absolutely.
Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. And again, we are going to be constantly promoting everybody signing up and subscribing to Kim's show. TheAfterParty.live. Go to TheAfterParty.live. You see the website there. And just help her reach 1,000 before next Tuesday. So tell your family, tell your friends. Yeah,
I hate to ask too, because it's such a.
Oh,
I don't
stop
want to
it.
be a pain in
Self-promotion,
anyone's
damn it.
rear end.
Self-promotion.
But I'm telling you, like, it's such a bummer. You have to get to a certain threshold. So I do actually need your help, and it's only 2 clicks. You click on the link and you click on subscribe, and I'll tell you how many I have now. I'm supposed to get to 1,000, and right now it's 498.
See? Even during this one show, we've gotten a bunch.
Yeah,
So please make sure you are subscribed and subscribe to this show and, of course, to Mark Thompson's show as well and help support us all because we're here for you. Okay, let's talk Tay-Tay. Taylor Swift. So after the show, I will be helping my daughter call in, listening for names. We've signed up to all different. So, I mean, I haven't been in this position in a very long time because when you work for radio stations, you can get tickets to things.
Right.
Not free necessarily. You pay for it, but you have access to it.
This is why I'm spoiled.
Right. And this is why Kim will never buy tickets to a concert, apparently. Now, the only reason that I am so just committed to this is because I really want to go. I really want to go. I want to go so badly. If it was somebody else that I didn't give 2 craps about, I'd be like, well, good luck, kid. But I'm helping her. So we're really, really trying. And I told you guys last week, I was extremely close to getting it. But if I got tickets, if I spent buku bucks to get Taylor Swift tickets, I don't think I would be very happy with the rules that Levi Stadium is imposing for people that are going to the concert. Here's a little bit of a news report on all the things that they wanted to ban during Levi Stadium.
Are you ready for it? In 1 week's time, what some consider the concert event of this generation will take place at Levi Stadium. The Taylor
This generation.
Turlock's Morgan Ormandy went to a Las Vegas show and will be among the enchanted Swifties at Levi's.
I actually bought these tickets during the first pre-sale that happened. So the fact that I got these was by the grace of God. So my friends and I are so excited to go.
Fans literally broke the internet trying to get a ticket to one of the 2 shows in Santa Clara. And San Jose's Melissa Niehoff was not as lucky. And with new regulations at Levi Stadium banning all tailgating, there will be no designated viewing areas outside for fans to be part of the evening without entering the stadium. In her wildest dreams, Niehoff didn't think she wouldn't be able to experience T Swift live at all.
Over the span of her tour, a lot of her fans are gathering outside, hoping that they could hear her music or see a screen. I had the plan to go, and so I'm really bummed to hear that Santa Clara is saying no. Can't do that.
20,000 unticketed fans showed up in Philadelphia earlier in the Eras Tour, and Levi Stadium is trying to make sure that doesn't happen here. A spokesperson told us the rules are in place to provide a safe environment for fans and event staff. MetLife Stadium in New Jersey had a similar policy. It's creating bad blood between Bay Area fans and city and stadium officials.
I'll move on. It'll be okay. But a lot of us are super bummed. We just want to be there.
I get there's going to be a lot of people, but it's something that than would normally happen for things like sporting events.
Levi's also banned the popular Swifties friendship bracelets at first, but then announced Friday they would allow them after all. Niehoff hopes they'll shake off this rule too.
Okay, so what do you guys think? Now, obviously, I could understand that having 20,000 extra people that don't have tickets but just want to listen to Taylor Swift is difficult, right? But I do feel like there's a workaround. They're shutting down Tasman Drive, which is right in front of the station or right in front of the stadium, right? You can't even go down that street, which I get because it's for emergency crews and things like that. But they do allow tailgating. And I don't know if anybody's been to Levi Stadium. They have multiple parking lots. Some aren't even anywhere close. You have to walk a bit. It's not like old Candlestick where it was all in one building. There's parking lots all over the place. So maybe if you don't have a ticket, you can go to those kind of places. I don't know, but it is a bummer because my daughter, that was our plan B, is if we didn't
you were going to go be part of the celebration.
You were going to go and just hang out with a bunch of Swifties in the parking lot.
So I think that another venue, maybe they could even sell $5-10 tickets. Another venue could probably profit, and Taylor Swift could profit by holding a Taylor Swift viewing party at some other center and doing that for people. But I have to say, when I first saw that they were closing down the parking lot to anyone but ticket holders, I thought, well, if I'm going to that show, if I paid all this money to go to the show,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't want to have to deal with all the people that don't have tickets that are filling up the parking lot. I want to go to the show and park. I want it to be an easy experience for me.
Right.
Because however much you just threw down on tickets, means that you should have first priority when it comes to parking. So if you allow all the riffraff in, the people without the tickets that just want to party, us poor folk in, then I
get it.
I don't think that's not what the parking lot is for, right? The parking lot is for the people going to the show.
Yeah.
So
if you are going, don't even take your car though. I would say take VTA, light rail, public transportation. It's going to be a madhouse. The last time I saw Taylor Swift with my daughter for the Reputations tour, we blew it. Like we left at the end, like while she was singing her last song, trying to beat everybody. And then I thought we were going to take VTA, but then they're like Uber's right there. And there was like no wait on my phone. And we got totally screwed because there was a wait for the Uber and we had to like take one of the bicycle messengers to take us. My husband ended up having to be woken up. And I'm like, you have to come get us. There's no way we're getting home. And this was several years ago. My daughter was much younger. And I was like, I got to get her off this street. She's freezing her ass off. And like, it's late. It was really, really late. But yeah, I'm bummed. It's not as if we haven't seen her. She just really, really wants to go. It's, again, a marketing genius. Taylor Swift re-recording all of her songs as well. Marketing genius. So fingers crossed. I don't know if we'll be able to get tickets, but
you heard the reporter say, this is expected to be the concert of a generation. The event of a generation.
I know, right?
Then it makes you feel like, oh God, I really got to go. It's like missing Woodstock. What's going to happen to me?
Yeah, but no, it's not. Yeah. It's not. It's gonna be a fun time. But I'll tell you this also. When you go to a concert, do you care if people are singing to the songs loudly?
That's kind of the point of the concert, right?
Well, so like there was one article I was reading that it was so loud because other people were singing with Taylor Swift that you couldn't even hear her.
Yeah.
Like on one hand, that sounds like great fun, right? If you know the song, you're singing with it. On the other hand, are you there to hear her? You could just turn the radio. It's all of these things.
Isn't that part of the fun though? I mean, if you really wanted to hear Taylor Swift or whatever artist in a nice environment with a great sound system, then you wouldn't be at the concert. It's not going to be good sound. It's echoey and hollow and weird. And half the time you can't even see her or the person, whoever it may be. And people are, messing around next to you, or there's fights breaking out or whatever's happening in the crowd.
Right.
And I just feel like you're not there to have audio excellence.
No, you're there to have a good time and hang out with people.
You're there to have the experience. So everyone singing together, in my mind, then would be part of that experience. Look, we're all fans together. We all know the words. We all have this, this similar experience in life, and we're all sharing it together at the same time. That's the point of the concert.
Yeah, exactly. John writes in some of those early Beatles concerts, people were just screaming.
That's a good point.
Well, and just finally, the last story that's just crazy to me. This one woman wrote an article for Insider. She said, I saw Taylor Swift on the U.S. leg of the Eras tour. 2 nosebleed seats cost us $5,000.
What? Ever?
No, but listen to this. So she became a Swiftie by listening to all the mom did, right? And so she wanted to go see her again. Ended up going on their European trip to see Taylor Swift in Poland. Well, she's getting tickets for Poland.
Oh, Lord.
The States. 3 VIP Swift tickets, flight and hotel, is still cheaper than what she's paying for here in the United States for tickets.
Wow.
She's getting VIP floor tickets, flying. I think she was already going to Europe, but I think that leg.
And a trip. Yeah.
It's insane. It was totally bungled, the whole Ticketmaster thing. But yeah, that's how much money people are willing to fork over.
Maybe you should do that. Maybe you should go on a little European jaunt.
Yeah, but then I just might as well just buy them here. Well, they're just so expensive. It's like $3,000 to get decent seats. A ticket per ticket, $3,000. No, I can't do that. You know me. I mean,
so
I was close to wanting to.
6,000. No.
There was an insane moment where I was like, well, maybe, but there's just no way.
I think $300 is too much. That I'm not paying that either.
I would pay $300 per ticket to see Taylor Swift. Absolutely. Right now, if somebody had tickets and they're like $300,
I would not.
Done. But
you're the nicer mom.
I can't pay $1,000 or more per ticket. I just can't do that. I can't. And like you were talking about, doing a viewing party. Oftentimes they will record the concert And so I told my daughter, I was like, maybe when they come out with the concert, we'll have a party at the house and all of your friends, we can just kind of have like a Taylor and we'll put it on the big screen TV and I know it's not the same, but it could be something fun. And and we can all dress up in different outfits and kind of do it something fun that way.
I have been listening to Taylor Swift songs for years. And recently the Taylor Swift rhetoric in our house is ramped up.
Okay.
Because every time we get in the car, Julia's on her phone connecting to the Bluetooth to the speaker and playing Taylor Swift, and they're singing the whole time. And
yes. I know so many more Taylor Swift songs than I ever thought were possible. But
there's some potty word ones now. She's got the F word going on.
Yes,
I'm like, what?
she does.
This is Taylor Swift?
Yes, I know.
Wow.
Exactly. Well, speaking about spending money, are you ready for Christmas in July? Today is, if you celebrate Christmas in July, which apparently is a thing, today is Christmas Eve. Tomorrow is Christmas. Okay. I'm going to play you a little bit of a news report. And I watched this morning, and that's why I want to play a little bit of it for you. It makes total sense for certain people, those people that love to go all out with Christmas and Christmas decorations. Here you go.
It's time for Christmas in July, the summertime celebration of all things sparkly, jingly, and Kris-Kringly.
Santa's coming to town!
Bars and restaurants in Chicago, Memphis, Atlanta, and beyond going full-on festive. Online Christmas in July racking up 310 million mentions on TikTok. As temperatures soar around the country, celebrating a cool Yule now might actually help you beat the heat this summer.
If you put up a Christmas tree in your living room now, you would feel a little bit cooler just because of the associations.
Right.
Good news for serious Santa stans.
1, 2, 3.
Christmas!
Christmas shopping is well underway at Decorators Warehouse in Arlington, Texas.
This is kind of a pent-up demand. It's been almost 7 months since Christmas, and now they're ready to go again.
Better Homes and Gardens says that summer is the time to start any Christmas DIY projects. No longer reserved for just the North Pole, Christmas in July is for everybody.
Buddy Deal, what's your favorite color?
So that's Christmas in July. So basically, if you do DIY stuff around your home, the garland, I guess there's this real touch feel garland that feels really real or whatever. Also, there's less competition for the decorations, and they're cheaper right now. So you know how people buy Halloween decorations the day after Halloween?
Right.
Think of it like that.
So it's the buying right now, but it's then the giving at real Christmas.
Right. Like you're not actually celebrating Christmas right now, but you could start your decorations. So that guy was saying some people would put up a tree and try to celebrate it. Apparently, this isn't new. Christmas in July started, I think they said back in the 50s and 60s. Right. When people were like, it's hot, let's do something cool in the middle of summer. And so they would start all of this.
Well,
go
see
ice
Barbie.
skating. Yeah.
Go stick your head in the freezer at the grocery store.
There you go. I mean,
I feel like I'm okay with if you want to get an early start on your Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
And you know people well enough to not expect that they'll want to take something back, because by the time Christmas rolls around, that return policy is probably expired, right? I mean, it's over.
True. That's very true.
So if you want to go buy stuff that's Christmassy, that's, Costco already has things up. Who else? Some other big box retailer has their Christmas items up already.
Yeah.
So if you want to go do that, great. But the whole celebrating Christmas when it's not Christmas, that feels a little weird to me. I was watching a movie called To All the Boys I've Loved.
Oh, I love that series. Yeah, there's a couple of them. Yeah.
So Julia was like, we have to watch this movie. So we were watching it the other night, and they have fake giving.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so fake giving is the girl's mom who has passed away. In college, she said there's no reason in the middle of, I think it was spring, there's no reason we need to wait until November to enjoy the turkey and to have
the good meal and everything like that.
And to be thankful. So they would have fake giving. And I wanted to say it was in the spring, but maybe it was in the summer. And they all gathered around the table and they celebrated fake giving. And I thought that was kind of cool. I guess if that's the way you want to approach it, that's great. But having another orgy of giving, I don't think I can handle that more than once
I'm
a
not
year.
giving any gifts.
No.
Now, Ms. Organic says, I buy Christmas presents throughout the year, usually from craft fairs, art, wine festivals, and put them in the trunk. I have too large a family to do it in November and December, and a lot of birthdays, October through December. Absolutely. That's a good idea. And then Katie says, a friend has a Christmas party in April because she says people are too busy in December.
It's true.
But that would, if you're having a Christmas party, I would assume you're kind of doing a giving sort of thing, right? I saw this thing on TikTok, by the way, of something called a favorites party, which I thought was also a good idea. And you can kind of tie it into Christmas, where everybody that's invited to the party brings something, 3 of their favorite things. So if you have a bottle of wine that you absolutely love, you bring 3 bottles of that wine.
Oh, good.
Or if there is something that you love, you buy 3 of them, and everyone puts them out. And then it's kind of like a white elephant. Everyone chooses a number, and then the last person gets 2 because then they go in reverse. And then you go home with all your people's favorite things. So I thought that was pretty cool. And you bring snacks and things like that. It's just another way of having a party, I guess. But I don't know. I like the idea of celebrating things more than once. That's the depression that happens, I feel like, after the holidays is everyone's all giving and nice and everything, and the decorations and the lights, and then all of a sudden January comes and you're like, whatever. Take the lights down. It's still snowing and cold and all that sort of stuff. So Christmas in July, if you celebrate it, it's going on, and there's actually deals to be made if you go into some of those decorating stores. Okay, let's do a couple quick headlines. We're going to touch on X. Somebody wrote in the comments that will the nanny, filters target Twitter because now their name is X, and X is usually associated with pornographic sites, right?
But it's not 3 X's. Doesn't have to be 3 X's, because you can type in, like, if you say you were looking for an extra large sweater, or then you can type in an
like X dash.
Oh,
Just
all right.
X. I don't know. Well, if anybody has a nanny thing and it's getting pinged because of X, formerly known as Twitter. See, that doesn't make any sense to me. So we're going to briefly touch on that, and then I'll share a sad story with my kid who's going to have to pony up some money because he made a mistake over the weekend.
Oh, I can't even wait. You're going to keep teasing me with this, and I cannot wait to find out.
Yeah. It's a common thing that happens. It's not surprising, but it's the first time that has happened to my son, unfortunately. And he's going to have to pony up some of that dough he's been saving. That's coming up after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
We'll start with this story out of Ukraine. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Ukraine has retaken about half of all Russian-occupied territory in the early days of the counteroffensive. So all of at least half that was taken, recovered. Appearing on CNN's GPS Sunday, Blinken called it a very hard fight as Ukraine battles to take back more ground against strong Russian defenses. And let's go to this story. It's the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee says the U.S. soldier who crossed the border into North Korea made a very serious mistake. Speaking on ABC's This Week, Texas Republican Congressman Michael McCall says he is worried North Korea will now try to exact a price for the release of Private Travis King. Former Vice President Mike Pence says the Department of Justice has lost the confidence of the American people. Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, the 2024 Republican White House hopeful added that he thinks another indictment against his former boss would only contribute to that sense. Pence's remarks come after former President Trump announced last week that he received a letter informing him he's a subject of the DOJ probe into efforts to stay in power after the 2020 election. Let's just consider what Pence just did. Appeasing a base, saying the Department of Justice is losing the confidence of the American people. When Pence was there that day, he ran for his life. You remember the video of Pence running down the hall?
He's a wet.
Do you remember that?
Yes, exactly.
He was running for his life. He was concerned about the safety of his family. People were saying, "Hang Mike Pence outside."
Exactly. And that's the guy that wants to be president of the United States. I don't think so, Mike Pence. You don't have to.
Let me just repeat what he said. He says the Department of Justice has lost the confidence of the American people. No, Mike Pence. And though you did a great thing that day, January 6th, you have lost the confidence of the American people by not still standing up, by having a backbone on one day only, and now being a coward and not standing up for what's right and standing up for America.
Yep. And the GOP, they keep saying that line. The American people have lost faith. It's because you guys keep saying that you think you're going to make it true. That's it. That's it. They're like, it's only amongst Republicans and usually MAGA people. They're like, oh, well, look what they're doing to Trump. Look what Trump does to Trump. Okay, so stop it already. Prove your cases in a court of law. Have evidence. And if you're found guilty, accept it. It doesn't mean that the DOJ is in the pocket of the Bidens. It doesn't mean that at all. Idiots.
At least 6 people are dead following a series of weekend shootings in the Chicago area. The violence started Friday when a man was fatally shot during an armed robbery and found inside of a vehicle in an alley. Since then, more than 20 others have been injured in the shootings, with the victims ranging from the ages of 13 to 64. Of course, Oppenheimer is expected to cause large crowds to try to visit a New Mexico site this fall. The U.S. Army will host an open house of the Trinity site in October, and it's warning about huge crowds due to the release of Christopher Nolan's latest film. The open house on the White Sands Missile Range will be held October 21st. The Army says if visitors are not among the first 5,000 in line, they may not get through the gates before the site closes. So I guess the movie really inspiring a lot of people to want to go see these places. I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, so X gonna give it to you. I think that's the line, the DMX song. I'm probably getting it wrong. It doesn't matter. X is now the official name of what was formerly known as Twitter. They have their graphics all done. Here, I'm going to show my screen to you. It doesn't make any sense, though, at all. Because look at this. Hold on. Let's take that picture down. Look at this. So, see the X in the corner right there? But what does it say right above my name right there? It says tweet still. But that's not what it's supposed to be. Tweets are going to, according to Elon Musk, tweets are no longer tweets. They're X's. That makes no sense to me. How do you say that in a sentence? X is not an action, right?
I X'd this morning.
I was X'ing all day. It reminds me of like Be Best, right? It's like, that's not how people talk. Like, stop it already. Now, remember when we were teasing it, we were saying, is the nanny filters gonna ping Twitter? Anonymous said on Reddit, an X Games bicycle trick was shown, and it was marked not suitable for work because it had an X in the post title. Now, I would say that Twitter isn't suitable for work sometimes because it's a distraction, but I think that's different. What do you think? I mean, I feel like a rebrand for companies that are in trouble is smart, but does anybody really feel like this is going to be enough for people to trust Twitter?
This X. So here's my thinking on this. You have some companies like Google it, Kleenex. Can I have a Kleenex?
Right.
Can I have a Coke? It's a soda or a cola. It's not a Coke, right? Mm-hmm. There are some companies that have gotten in on a ground floor of something or done such good marketing that the company's name becomes the name of the thing.
Right. Exactly.
That's kind of like Twitter, right? So you can say I posted it or I tweeted it or whatever, but the name is kind of ingrained into our culture and our consciousness now. You bought this company for, what was it, $44 billion? You gutted the company, and now you've decided you wanted to spend money marketing the name X. When you have a name that is so ingrained in American culture, you couldn't pay for that kind of good marketing.
Right. Yeah.
You couldn't pay for that kind of branding. It's been around for so long, and so many people kind of just know it, that changing a brand is super silly to me.
And it doesn't make sense. Although, if you know Elon Musk, the letter X is in a lot of things. So his second startup was X.com, which eventually became PayPal. X is obviously incorporated into SpaceX and Tesla's first car model. was X, and he has his new AI startup called XAI. So it's not surprising he chose X, but
we also have a kid named X.
yeah,
Yes,
something.
this-
Yeah, I don't even know how to
yeah.
pronounce that name. It has an
yeah.
X in it.
They call him X. Yeah.
David writes in, Elon is promising that X will do 5 things when he can't succeed with the one thing it was designed to do. Very good point. It's like texting and all.
Yeah.
It's just stop. Similar to what we were talking about with Anchor Brewing. And I'm not saying it's the same exact thing. Simplify. Don't make it even more complicated. Do one
TikTok.
thing and
We're
do
talking
it well.
about TikTok.
Oh, TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and TikTok with the videos. It's just stop trying to be everything.
Yeah.
Just be one thing and do it so well. It's and I'm harking back to all the cooking shows that I watch, and like, edit yourself, right? It's like, you don't need to include everything. You don't need to do eggs 3 ways. Do eggs one way and do it really, really well.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like Elon Musk's problem is he wants to be everything. And it's turning into nothing for nobody except those that want to pay. And you have to pay. So you have to pay to get verified. You have to pay if you don't want any limits on your DMs and your characters. So it doesn't seem to be a place for everybody. It's only a place for those that are willing and are committed, I would say, to that platform, which again, there's so many choices out there, people, for social media, for information, for all sorts of things. I think Elon Musk is blowing it. It's his company. He's allowed to do whatever he wants. I just feel like it would have been better spent, the money and the time, instead of rebranding, bringing in the right people, the right support team to make Twitter not what it was, because obviously Elon Musk did not like Twitter as it used to be, but at least have the safeguards in place, the staffing in place so that people trust it again as a source for stuff. Right now, I am on X. a very small fraction of the time I used to be. And usually I just hop on it. I'm just to kind of re-X. I mean, I can't say retweet, so re-X it. This is so asinine. It makes zero sense. But
I don't understand. And of all the things you need to spend money on, this?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But we'll see how it does. He does obviously want to make money. He's not an idiot. Like, I'm not saying that Elon Musk is stupid, but just because you're smart in certain aspects of life doesn't mean that every decision that you make is the right one. And I just think that he's off base on this one by a huge margin. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if people stay on the platform. We'll see if people pay for the verification and if all that money, if Elon Musk knew what he was doing all along.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. All right, let's start with the story of my kid. So
thank you.
Speaking of things you need to spend money on, I love my son. He's such a sweetheart. He's such a character, and he's really good with money. He got my gene. Okay, he totally got my gene of being frugal, saving your money. If for his birthday that passed in June, my brother and his wife sent him $50, but he said they sent it to me. And so it's just sitting in like my PayPal or whatever they sent it to, and he's like, I want the money. And I was like, well, I could just hold it for you. He's like, nope, I want the money. I want to put it in my thing. I want to see it. And I'm like, okay. So I gave him the $50 cash and he's put it away. And so I was like, what are you saving for? In addition to saving, he said he wanted to buy a sword.
Like a real sword?
Oh no.
Are we talking like
some display sword? I don't know. I told him it's a stupid waste of money, in my opinion, but it's his money. And if he wanted to buy a sword, I guess. And I'm like, what are you going to do with it? You can't use it. It has to stay on the wall.
Right.
He's like, I just want it. I'm like, okay, well, this was obviously before what happened this weekend happened. And I don't know how much money my son has. He has at least a couple $100. Okay. At least. So we went to Great America this weekend. And of course, the kids brought their phones. And my son made 2 mistakes. The first, and I love you, honey, is listening to my husband, who always tells these kids, for some asinine reason, to put their phone on airplane mode when you're not on an airplane. Okay. Now, there's a reason why you don't put your phone on airplane mode, because all of the location and tracking that I have set up on the phone is now turned off. So my son lost his phone. He left it somewhere. And what was funny is we were in line and he was looking at his phone. And my the husband did not want him on his phone anymore. He's like, get off. We're spending time as a family. Get off your phones, right? And so somewhere between him telling him this and telling him to put it on airplane mode, he lost the phone. And then we can't find it because it's on airplane mode. And so, we've registered it with Great America. We checked the lost and found. I highly doubt. I went on the Find My Phone, and you can message the phone. So if somebody turns it on, they'll see a message like, hey, I put a really sweet message like, hey, this is a kid's phone. Can't really afford to buy it.
Right.
Call me back. And, trying to plead with the humanity of people, which I doubt is going to work, but whatever. It was worth a shot. So I told my son, I'm like, look, looks like you need a new phone. Now, not a new phone, because those are extremely expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't buy you a new phone. And so then my son was upset because remember, my daughter broke the screen on her phone. Somebody at school had broken it. And we paid to replace it or to repair it, which was close to $100 for a new screen. Way cheaper than a whole new phone.
Right.
And so I told my son, I was like, well, you have money, and I was like, you can buy a phone, a used one, a refurbished one or whatever. And I will pay, I'll put in $100 for it because that's fair. Like if you broke your phone, I did this for your sister, I'll do it for you. Is that fair? Because part of me is like feeling a little guilty about it because
I think it's totally fair. It turns out them having a phone is really convenient to us.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you have a vested interest in having him have a way for you to communicate with him.
Well, and the other thing is and I've been telling you guys this, he's really like focused on working out every day with my dad. They go every morning and he listens to music through his headphones. They're Bluetooth. He can't listen to anything because he doesn't have a phone. And so he came back from the gym today and I was like, how was the gym? He's like, good. And I was like, what'd you listen to? He's like, nothing. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And so he said, we're going to wait a week to see if Great America finds the phone. I was like, we're waiting 2 days. Because if it hasn't been turned in, it's not going to be turned in. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He came home from the gym today and he's like, so we're only going to wait till Wednesday before I decide to. And we went on Amazon and you can get an iPhone 10 for like $250.
All
so
right.
I'm like, $100 off that, $150 for a phone, I think will be really, it'll also, I think he'll be more careful with it because he's bought some of it. Now, Kim, I guess you don't have a parent. I mean, I guess, don't you want the protection of being able to find your phone? She writes, I put my phone in airplane mode anytime I can be on Wi-Fi. I've had too many occasions where all my data was sucked up, even when I wasn't using the phone. So it's barely ever not on airplane mode. You know what you should do instead of airplane mode, Kim? And I don't know if you have an iPhone, but put it on low power mode. So low power mode shuts off all the background running that happens to save your battery. And so I think that would solve, I'm not an expert. I think that would solve it instead of it being on airplane mode. I think if you put it in low power mode, now it obviously turns off if you're charging your phone. It'll turn it off because then it doesn't need it anymore.
So I have a question. Have you ever gone on your phone and the Find My app?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking
Find
about.
My.
Yeah.
But doesn't Find My kind of, even if you put it on airplane or whatever, like Find My usurps all that and it will find the phone no matter what?
It doesn't. It once it logs back onto the internet, you can find it. But what it gives you is the last place it was. So if I look on my Find My, I still see my son at Great America because that was the last time.
Maybe that's because that's where the phone is.
Well, yeah, but it's like at 1:20 in the afternoon on Saturday. It'll give you the day and the time because that was when he turned it off airplane mode.
Yeah.
Or turned on airplane mode. And so that's the last location. Now, if somebody turns on the phone, I would hope to get it, but I don't know. I don't know if anyone's really going to do something like that. But no, believe me, I have Google searched it and done everything. If it's on airplane mode, you can't find it. I can try to go through iCloud and ping it that way, but it takes a couple of days, I think, to do it.
Okay.
And at that point, who's going to turn in the phone?
It's worth trying to find it.
I'm going to keep trying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really disappointing because I hate for him to. It's not a waste of money because he uses his phone so often, but I know he was saving it for something else. But that's
there goes the sword. Kiss it goodbye. Sayonara, sucker.
Now,
I was ready for you to tell me a story about shoplifting and having to pay back the shopkeep. I mean,
Not
I was
my
settling
son.
in for a good
Not
one.
my son. No,
Lost
no,
my
no,
phone.
no,
I feel
no.
bad about that.
I
Yeah.
know. No. I think I've pretty much instilled in my children not to steal. I am definitely one of those of, if you take from people, you will constantly have things taken from you'll lose things, people will take. And that's what also bums me out about the phone. And I was saying this the whole time because I went to Lost and Found when I was at Great America. I'm like, he's a good kid. I was saying this to the universe. I'm like, he's a good kid. Like, please may somebody turn in the phone, right?
Yeah.
And I know that it doesn't, even if you are good and you don't
Doesn't
steal,
matter.
things get taken. But I was just hoping against hope somebody had turned it in. And I'm still hoping. I'm going to call when I get off air right now.
How many times have you called them since you've been there?
Well, I think that they only answer the phone during the week because on the weekend they're
Okay.
so busy. So I'm going to call
Right.
today, and they do have a place for you to register the phone. You can put in like identifying things. So if they
Right.
find it, the day on Saturday when I went to Lost and Found, they actually had someone's phone there. It was a girl. It looked like a girl's phone because it was all bedazzled.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, if somebody turned that phone in, maybe they'll turn in my son's phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of bummed for him. I hope that we can find it because it is a lot of money. And on that note, I have to end the show with these TikTokers. Now, Kim, it's not OnlyFans. It's nothing to do with feet and pudding or anything like that. Okay. I don't know if you would be up to doing it because literally anybody know Gary V? He does these. His name is Gary V. It's a longer last name, but he goes by Gary V. V-E-E. He's one of those inspirational kind of talkers. And I follow him on all my social medias. I love him. He's kind of a potty mouth. He is a potty mouth. That's not kind of. He's a total potty mouth. But he has great advice, business acumen. And he was talking in this one video about how the internet has been the great equalizer. And, the reason why it took people generations ago to make a lot of wealth is because the internet didn't exist. He's like, nowadays, I mean, it's like, if I had my phone, I would be making buku bucks. And he was also praising the younger generation for using social media in unique ways to make a lot of money. Look, I'm not saying he's wrong, but I don't know if I could do this. So apparently, the newest way that TikTokers are making money is through these live streams where they talk like robots or they say different words. It's called NPC. This is the trend. It's non-playable characters. That's what it stands for. Okay. And it involves human creators pretending to be non-playable video game characters, and followers pay to have them do various actions or say certain words. So I'm going to play you. Now, I don't know how long I'd be able to do this.
I'm kind of confused, but okay. Let's
it'll make sense when I show you this video.
Okay.
One woman or young lady, $7,000 in a day. Okay, so it's not chump change. We're talking about people.
Is it like sexy stuff?
This is what it is. Here we go.
Wow, a lot of gift for you. Flowers for me. Beautiful. Oh, thank you, baby. I love you. Ice cream so good. Ice cream so good. Keeping money gun. I got your name. Wow, a lot of gift for you. Hee-haw, yes. You got me feeling like a cowgirl. And you're right at huh? Gang, gang. Ice cream so good. Go crazy. Go crazy. Ice cream so good. Yes, 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 yes. Ice cream so good. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, thank you, baby. This is so cute. Balloon. Oh, thank you, baby. I love you. No.
Okay. I can't
What is even happening there? I don't even know what she's doing.
So she's reading comments and people are paying for her to say or pretend she's licking ice cream. So she'll be like, ooh, ice cream so good. How long do you think you could do that as a human being before you go absolutely out of your freaking mind? Here's another one. I know that it seems like torture. These people are making serious dough. So here's another one. Cherry Crush. This is her. Here we go.
My mom told me to just be myself and people would like me.
Emojis. And they make money. People pay money to have that emoji come up and her pretend to eat it, and they make real money. Now, I will tell you this. Elon Musk could learn something from TikTok. So according to The Guardian, the pink doll, who was the first one you saw, claims she makes upwards of $7,000 a day from a live stream with over 3.5 million likes. Tokens and virtual gifts, which is what she's collecting, can then be transferred into real money that can be cashed out. But guess, this is the part that blew my mind. TikTok takes 50% of the net revenue from the virtual gifts. Half of the money goes to TikTok. That's a scam. I mean, it's obviously on the up and up because you agree to it.
Okay, give me your best watermelon bite.
I couldn't do that for hours on end. Are you freaking kidding me right now? Ooh, no.
You might find that offensive because when I was sitting here, granted it's on video and on a technically a social media site, right?
Right.
But we're saying what we want to say. We're doing what we want to do. Like we're real people. This is who we are. This is what we think about things. You know, all the topics on the show you've looked at or I've looked at or whatever. And we're deciding to do this. We are not like a dance monkey. Dance. Do what I'm telling you to do when I want you to do it. It's a total form of prostituting yourself in a way that's like, you know, you're going to pay me to do these actions.
Yeah, and to talk a certain way. Oh, thank you. I
find it weird.
It's
I
weird.
mean, at that
playing
point,
characters, of course, but yeah. It's and I don't mean that Elon Musk is hurting for money, OCB. I mean, Twitter is not profitable. So if he took half, if he figured out something like TikTok did, take half of the revenue of these creators, and I have so many questions. It's like, how long are they doing this? What is this amount of the stretch of time that you can do that? It would just drive me absolutely insane. And I'm not knocking it. If you can make money doing that, you can make $7,000 a day. I want to know, one, how long you're doing it for, but two, like, no pun intended, more power to you, more money.
I am impressed by your bite. I mean, you have a really good bite. I think you could pull it off.
Yeah, I've got a big mouth and big teeth. I'm sure it would do quite well, but I think that is the length of time I think I could stand doing it.
Support you. I would throw a few ice cream cones your way. Absolutely.
Not with Twitter taking friggin' half, though. That sucks.
TikTok, you mean TikTok? Yeah.
TikTok taking half of the money?
Yeah.
No.
Well, if you're still bringing in $7,000 a month, you might as well.
$7,000 a day, Kim. Day.
A day?
A day.
Wow.
That's what she claims, at least. I mean, there's no way I could check.
Maybe it pays to be a dancing monkey. Go ahead.
You know what they say. All right, you guys, click the thumbs up button to show your support of the show. I mean, we're not, dancing monkeys or pretending to eat things on here, but I like to do the show anyway.
You did eat Dragon Balls the other day on the air. I mean, I will say that
for
you.
And I still maintain it. Do you know the restaurant was responding to my social media post about it. So they're a good sport about it. Yeah, they're definitely being a good sport about it. Yeah. I do want to say thank you to Elise, who came in with a $20 super sticker. Just look at the super chat button, and you guys can donate money to the show, even if you watch it on replay. Just look for the $sign. And please consider signing up to become a Medorable, a monthly Patreon subscriber, by going to the NikkiMedoroShow.com. It's the show's website. Our PayPal is there. Our merchandise shop is there. And then before everybody leaves, even if you're watching a replay, please make sure you have subscribed to the After Party. The After Party Live. The afterparty.live is where you go. And you can subscribe for Kim's show. It's going to be right after Mark Thompson, starting August 1st, a week from tomorrow. This show, the Nikki Medoro Show, moves from 9 to 11. And then Mark Thompson from 11 to 1. And then Kim McAllister is going to be on from 1 until 2 with John Daly. And it's going to be a great old time.
Just put the link in the chat. It's 2 clicks. Click the link, click subscribe. And I can't do it if I don't get to 1,000 subscribers by August 1st. I won't be able to do a live show for you guys. So
she's going to get it. You're going to get it. Yes,
I really hope so. I'm already at like 503.
We're halfway there. Come on.
Yeah.
Sing the song, people. Let's just get it done so that the after party can continue after Mark Thompson. Again, this all starts August 1st. Me 9 to 11, Mark 11 to 1, and then the after party with Kim McAllister from 1 until 2. And it's just going to be a great old time.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk again tomorrow, guys.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.